Demonstrations in the streets of Iran against the regime. Do you support those protesters, and would it be a good thing if they brought the regime down?
Well, the protesters are protesting, as I understand it, this brand of protesters, about the fact that that plane went down, and many students were on that plane, and these are largely students in the street. I think the Iranians should have not had commercial flights going off when there was.
They're calling out the regime for lying. They're saying death to Khamenei as well.
No, well, whatever it is.
Iranian officials are trying to contain a third day of angry protests.
Security forces fired tear gas at demonstrators. Unconfirmed reports say live bullets were also fired at the crowd. In Tehran, protesters tore down posters of General Qasem Soleimani, killed by the U.S. earlier this month.
President Trump tweeted yesterday to the leaders of Iran, "Do not kill your protesters."
The enemy is not America, it's within. One social media post shows students refusing to walk on large U.S. and Israeli flags painted in the road. Just hours after Iran's military admitted shooting down the passenger plane, the protests began. Thousands of mostly young people joined angry crowds in Tehran. And the protests continued last night, too.
Russia is going to win from this, and I think that's a pretty clear one. Both Putin and Russia's interests are aligned here, which is that they want the U.S. out of the Middle East, or they want the U.S. to have a reduced role in the Middle East.
Okay, Soleimani was a Quds Force commander, and the Quds Force was responsible for American deaths and so forth and so on. This is a war. We started it. We are waging economic warfare against Iran. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that it is to be expected.
The killing of Soleimani seems so eminently in the national security interest of the United States. I mean, everybody by now knows the record. You can hold him responsible for the deaths of hundreds of Americans directly since over the last 15 years, and thousands of others, all those including Democrats who deservedly are critical of us standing back in Syria and watching more than 500,000 people killed there, can put the blame mostly on Soleimani, without whom Assad never would have still been there.
So far today, our contacts in Tehran say things are calm, but there's no doubt public anger is boiling. Not only on the streets, but everywhere, Iranians were asking if there really had been a threat of U.S. strikes, why hadn't the military done the obvious thing and closed its airspace to civilian planes?